Testing. Just playing. Live. Another week. Another day. Same different toilet. Boy, DC. Welcome back to No Cap. And that. Gotta leave that other part silent. Couldn't put it in the name. Couldn't fit in the name. So it's just gonna be, you know, kind of like suggested. Yeah, No Cap in the nap. Coming live from you know where. Gonna jump right to what I've been thinking about. Had a long weekend to even try to process this conversation for real. It's not really a conversation you have with folk, not flat out. It's more so one that you kind of intimate towards people and you just assume that they get what you're trying to say. And in situations where you actively come out and you had a conversation, you always come off as weird or folk don't know how to handle it. That conversation about what is and what ain't. Actually setting boundaries. But let me turn that to the side just so folks can understand the vibe is for sure. But conversation about telling folk that this is how the program operate over here and letting them know what's going on. 'Cause we in a crazy world, right, where everybody feels like they're entitled to do whatever they want, whenever they want, around whoever they want. And that just be the end of it. Not never. I know where I'm at, but I got my PhD in setting boundaries, man. Really, it feels like, honestly, when you had a conversation with folk and you get their perspective on how life's gone so far or what changes they've seen in society, you typically get one or two responses because these are the new ways to process what's going on. Response number one: ain't none of my business. I'll mind the business that pays me. That option is, if I don't see it, it don't exist. Like if I cover my eyes, I'm still not in this room in front of a whiteboard, staring at a camera. All right. And then option two: man, I don't mess with nobody. I'm just over here. Isolation. I'm not even going to entertain being around situations that could become uncomfortable. And as much as option number one sounds good, it's not reality. And option number two sounds uncomfortable because it is uncomfortable. There's no way for you to isolate yourself from everybody else and not suffer the effects of it, because you're a social animal. You're human. We're social animals. You need to engage with people. So with that being the case, and we need to engage with people, and lying to ourselves and saying, I'm just going to mind my business, since that don't work, you got to go to option C. Third choice: setting boundaries. And I know I try not to get too political and not try to have these categorized conversations and you stand for this, you think that, you believe that, so you over here with all of them. Nah, but you read into psychology, boundaries are masculine concept. And you know what kind of society we're in right now. So boundaries have fell off a little bit, let's just say, but they're needed more so than ever. You need boundaries. And folks can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like the only way to set boundaries is to actively set them and not just passively be like, hey, these are the house rules, but you won't know them until you break one of them. Nah, fuck all that. This is the spot. Here's how we operate. Get in where you fit in. That's how I believe in setting boundaries, right? And to not be so general about it anymore and to get more detailed, when I say setting boundaries, I mean actively regulating. No matter where I'm at, what I'm doing, what I'm partaking in, regulating, on point, on P's and Q's at all times. So if I'm in the crib, everything in this crib better be to my liking. I'm at a restaurant. Hey, I'm here to do this. Better go a certain way while I'm here. And of course, you read the little diatribe in the bottom of the video. When I'm online, it's some I better see, and it's some I better not see. Because if I see it, I'm gonna speak on it either way. Because even if we not in person, setting boundaries. Because I'm gonna let you know what it is and what it ain't. And the truth of the matter is, we need a whole lot more people setting boundaries because folks have made it acceptable to be stupid outside, or to be ignorant outside, or to just think you can do whatever and ain't no consequences of that. There's consequences to everything. What you don't know will hurt you. So I'm going to set these boundaries and let you feel a little bit of that up front, because I don't want to be affected by what you got going on. But that leads to the board, right? When I put QOTD on there, that's going to be quote of the day. That's going to be, I've read some kind of text somewhere and I took a quote from someone else, and I'm going to put the quote on the board. I'm going to always put who the quote is from. And probably to be more open, I'm going to probably put where the quote is from as well, just so folk can be able to look into it if they're interested. But when I put GGOD on the board, it's a little different. GGOD, Ghetto Gospel of the Day. That's quotes from yours truly. Either something I've read, something I've experienced, something I've thought, or something that I know to be true. But I don't want to say I'm a giver of game, but I mean, if it's two, game giving of the day. However you choose to break the acronym down, but I've explained it to you already. I'll probably have to explain it later on too, but we'll get there when we get there. But Ghetto Gospel today, you got two choices in the society we live in today. Choice number one, influence. So this conversation we have about setting them boundaries, letting folk know how you coming and how the operation works. That's choice number one. Choice number two, be influenced. So that's somebody coming to you and approach you with, hey, here's the get down. Get in where you fit in. And in our society, that's literally how it works. So the faux idea that you just gonna mind your business, that's why I say it's not realistic. You're not minding your business. and saying I'm going to separate or isolate. I don't mess with that. It's also not realistic. These are your only two realistic choices. Influence. So people are going to maneuver based on how you're acting, or be influenced, where you're going to see something that somebody else is doing, or you're going to come in contact with somebody else and you're going to move based on how they coming. Another conversation folk turn this into is you got leaders and you got followers, chiefs and Indians, wave creators and wave riders. There's 1,001 different ways to put it, but that's just what it is. Influence, be influenced. I'm leaning heavy into option number one. All of us are influenced by other people at some point in time, but when the majority of your time, your decision making or your behavior or your personality or characteristics are influenced by something else outside of yourself, you might want to look in the mirror, because you ain't living life right. This that went sideways and you lost the plot somewhere along the line. Get it together. It should always be option one. And to be more specific, right? For folk that know me, and for a lot of folk that I get along with, don't let it be known. Hey man, here's what I'm into. Here's my goals. Here's my hobbies. Here's my mindset. Everything is moving after that. If it's not affecting none of that, I might be hands off. I might be with you. As long as it doesn't intrude or infringe upon any of what I got going on in here, we game. But folks I tend not to get along with is the folks who they don't got nothing really going on. This is the conversation that a lot of women are having on social media or bringing up on social media. You're not intentional. I need a man that's intentional. I want to find somebody that's intentional. No, you don't. No, you don't. Mm-mm. Because when you find somebody that's intentional and you interact with people who are intentional, that means you have to respect their influence. And we're not in a situation where the influence of individuals on an individual basis is more important than the influence of individuals online. Faceless individuals, just the masses. The faceless masses have more pull than this person in front of your face. And I've seen it where folks will say, I need somebody that's going to be intentional. And then you see how they moving. You're like, yeah, but I'm not going to let you influence me. I need you to get on my level. I need you to get on my wave. It's not mine anyway. It's from some other people, but I'm on that wave. And I need you to get on that wave with me. And it tends not to work when you trying to build those relationships, and folks never seem to notice why. It's because you trying to take somebody who's chosen option one and you trying to make them choose option two. It ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna not never work. Right. But it's not a realistic option. For folks who choose to influence, they can't let outside folk knock them off their square. Because when you setting boundaries, it's not a collaborative interaction. You're not accommodating when you setting boundaries. Hey, it's this or nothing. That's what type of time you need to be on when you setting boundaries. Again, this is what it is. This is what it ain't. Get in where you fit in. And it's a real uncomfortable situation. It gets awkward because few shows back brought it up. When you got folk who aren't self-aware, trying to interact with people who are self-aware, oil and water. And I try not to be too comparative, but speaking in generalities, that's typically how situations go. You interact with folk, that self-awareness, that intelligence level. And then after that, everything else is mix and match. We can make it make sense with everything else. But if you ain't got that level of self-awareness and you don't got the intelligence, because I don't know if you can see, but the common denominator with folks who allow themselves to be influenced tend to lack self-awareness. Majority of the time they lack self-awareness, or they lack a level of intellect where, you feel me? And when you set boundaries, you got to be aware. You got to know what you want. You got to know what you don't want. And you got to be able to communicate that. So you need level of self-awareness. You need your intelligence. But back to this conversation. To get more aggressive with it, folk got to start letting folk know, hey, man, this ain't going to be happening when I'm around. And our ancestors, our elders used to do that all the time. They were always setting boundaries. And then once they set the boundaries, reinforcing the boundaries. For example, you got in trouble as a child. Parents ain't had to be there. Grandparents had to be there. That's somebody who knows your family be there. We on your ass. And we gonna communicate it to folk that we know that's in your family. They gonna be on your ass. And then so on and so forth until you realize that, hey, around here, shit don't fly. Got to take that elsewhere. Sound familiar? That's setting boundaries right there. But folks let that go and want to go, hey, ain't none of my business. It is your business. Because you got two choices. Influence, be influenced. The folks always talking about YNs everywhere, right? Whole time, majority of the folk who complain about it got YNs in their family. They don't say nothing to, they don't do nothing for, they don't make no connections with. Just to go outside and complain about other people. It's a YN that could have been kept off the street right there in your house, but you wasn't setting them boundaries. So now, instead of being an influence and letting them know this is how you operate, this is how we move, this is how you're supposed to maneuver, now you being influenced and you can't go outside. You don't even want to be out because you're scared. It's always, every situation is always going to go back to you being the influencer, you being influenced. And it's so easy to choose either one. But folks thinks it's easier to just be influenced and just be hands off. It's easy to influence. Like, we in a social media world. Folks say dumb shit on social media all day, every day. It don't matter what app you choose. It don't matter what you got on the app for. Scroll for between 3 flicks of your wrist or 5 seconds, and you're going to come across a whole bunch of dumb shit. But instead of getting on there and say, hey, man, shut that shit up. Folks look at it, roll on. Instead of influencing, being like, hey, man, you sound stupid. Or even, Unfollow your ass. Folks allow themselves to be influenced, and I'm gonna just keep scrolling, or I'm gonna get off of the app. You wanted to be on that for a reason. You let somebody's stupidity influence your behavior. I don't know. Folks be like, well, if you unfollow them or if you say something to them, that's you being influenced. Not at all. Because the fine line is you can't control nobody else's actions, but you can control what's in your area. If you don't want to see bullshit, make sure you don't see bullshit. You setting boundaries instead of allowing them to be set on you. Influence to be influenced. Because if you comment and say, hey, this is some dumb shit, folks, they go, regardless of whether they feel offended by it or not, they gonna know that, yeah, we not gonna get along with me trying to do this right here. And if you unfriend them or unfollow them, you're not gonna see that no more. That's one less person to put eyes on what they got going on. And remember, in social media age, attention is currency. So when folks say some dumb shit and people check out, you lost influence, you lost attention, you lost money. But the problem being that there's that mob mentality that folks want to avoid. And you'll see it a lot. For example, let's say X or Facebook. You'll see somebody put something on there. It could be a man, and he's clearly gaslighting, clearly trying to get all the attention he can. He's selling these women dreams. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Y'all know a few people that's like that. Pandering, the internet panderers. But there's so many people under there that's cheering it on, supporting it. You be scared to be under there and be like, hey man, this nigga lying. He sounds stupid. Y'all sound stupid. Shut that dumb ass shit up. Cause nobody want to deal with all that. I don't want to have to acknowledge the fact that you stupid or teach you how you stupid. So folk jump out, but you don't let so much shit slide. You got to. If you'd have said something before they was getting big, back when it was just 5 people commenting, and you'd have said that was some dumb shit, you could have changed some minds. But now there's 5,000 people agreeing with dumb shit. It's harder. And the funny part about that is the folk who disagree and who stand on their boundaries, because they see the amount of people being influenced, I always tend to check out. I'm like, man, I don't want to disagree with the mob, with the crowd. And the crazy part is there's a crowd of people who disagree, but majority of us always tended to act the same way. There could be 5,000 people under there commenting who agree, and it could be 20,000 people who thought, man, that was the dumbest shit I ever seen. But they didn't want to be the first one to say it, and they didn't want the backlash from saying it. That's where we are in the digital world, where there's so much bullshit going on. The folks who are being influenced, they're happy to speak up because I look up to you. You're my role model. You're my reason for living or behaving the way I do. You influence me. Those folk are everywhere, and they making their opinion known, even though it's not their opinion. Funny enough, this one person is giving all of these people their opinion, spoon feeding it to them. And the folk who disagree, who have their own opinion, tend to go, I don't agree, but I'm not gonna fight you about it. That's the unfortunate situation about it. But you got to get back to that. We got to get back to that. Because it's getting stupider outside. And I say stupid because stupid is the most PG of adjectives I can use. I try not to speak too incendiary on these platforms because I don't want to be disrespectful. I'm going to disagree as politely as possible. But you'll see some things online just like, wow. So, again, no cap, live from the NAP. Indianapolis is one of the most, hold up, my bad, I almost use one of them words. It's not allowed online. Culture lacking, underdeveloped, low IQ cultures that you'll come across. Remember, that's the polite way to say it. The only things that ever garner attention and support are somebody getting shot, somebody dying, some kind of major crime, car shows, and nudity. And under nudity, you can put partial. And I want to use that as a blanket term because it's so many different avenues for it. Strippers, pool parties, any kind of event where folks are allowed to dress as loose as possible. And then shaking ass. You can set your watch to it. Anytime there's no celebrity news going on, that's the sixth one. Any celebrity doing anything Indianapolis is talking about. Doesn't matter who the celebrity is or why they got famous, just one of them. But you can set your calendar to it. You can check your watch. That should probably go with the lunar calendar. But the minute there's slow news, nobody's gotten shot, there was no major robberies, no celebrity got pregnant, there was no celebrity breakup, there was no concert, somebody gonna start shaking ass. And this is just gonna go viral. And it's just gonna be a competition. And not just a competition of shaking ass on the internet, but then there's going to be like beef over who started it or who did it better, which got to be the craziest thing I ever heard. They be saying, never shook more ass than me. Nonetheless, there's a whole bunch of folk who will comment and share the most negative shit in the world. Because I just gave you the list. It was crime, nudity, and gossip. Folks will give all their attention to it. Even folks will disagree with it, but still comment and still spread it. So instead of being option one, you can disagree with it. But when you disagree with it and then share it amongst your people, you're no longer disagreeing. If that makes sense. Because to disagree is to meet it where it's at and not to take it with you. But folks will share the shit out of it, comment, all of that. anything positive doesn't get the same kind of pull, doesn't get the same kind of attention. And the crazy thing is, you'll see more naysayers to positivity than you will see naysayers to the negativity. So when it's a negative situation, there's a bunch of women shaking ass. Say there's a bunch of women that like, hey, put y'all clothes on. Then women, how dare you tell them to put their clothes on? They grown. It's the internet. And they quickly feel like they in the minority because you got the crowd that's influenced. We want more of it. We need to see more of it. More of it. Why? It's because what we always done, and it's what I like because we do it as a group. All right. But now I try to explain the weirdness of, yeah, you doing something good, but I heard this one time the business thing go well and you was stealing money. Be false accusations, all of that. But don't matter. Folks are willing to set boundaries on positivity, but not set boundaries when you need to set boundaries. And when you explain it that way, it sounds dumb as hell. But folk don't have enough intelligent, positive influences in their life to ever hear it that way. Folks start a nonprofit in your city, wanting to give the youth a different avenue other than being outside with all the other YNs. Want to teach them carpentry, HVAC work, real estate. Folks will work quietly, build themselves up, post it, share it. And the minute you get enough attention, folks will come out of nowhere and go, yeah, but you went to jail in 2019 for armed robbery. That ain't got nothing to do with what's going on. Or, yeah, you cheated on your wife and that's why you single now. I don't trust that nigga. Terrible morals. And regardless of whether any of these accusations are real or not, the accusations pop up. So folks are wanting to set boundaries on, yeah, that's some good shit that's needed, but we don't want you doing it. We don't know who's going to do it if you're not doing it, but you stop doing that. I only like my good work done by real good people. But who are these real good people? It's situations like that where you can tell folk not really trying to be influenced. They being influenced. Somebody told you to hate all positive shit and you learned it. You've been taught that. The constant hating that goes on. So you're not even being influenced. You just following the wave of tear down the positive shit, build up the stupid shit. And the problem is on both sides, the people doing the most talking are the people with the least amount of intelligence and the least amount of actual influence. The folks with real influence don't say nothing. Folks with high intelligence don't say nothing. The folk who are self-aware don't say nothing. Even though they are the majority. Might not believe it, but you are the majority. But the less those folks speak up, the more the other side tends to be more commonplace. So now it seems like just a whole lot of dumb people being influenced. So everybody's got to be dumb and everybody's got to be influenced. Everybody's got to be scrolling their phone looking for what their next outfit's supposed to look like, what their values are supposed to be. where they supposed to live, what they supposed to eat, what they supposed to look like. And that's life in the digital world, in today's world, social media world. Social media was created in order for you to connect, interact, and share a slice of what you got going on with others. It was literally built for you to be an influence. And that shit went left quick. It went left. Like, that's your left. This my left. It went left quick. And folks don't know how to put the genie back in the bottle. They don't know how to wrap that shit up. There's a reason that old boy who started Facebook, buddy bought himself a big ass plot of land, and you ain't heard from him since. You don't know what updates coming to Facebook. You don't know, does he still own it or not? All of these folk who own these social media sites, you don't hear them speaking on what direction they need to go in no more. Now it's always about how much money can they make. The thing about being self-aware, right, is your self-awareness has to come from being grounded, and there has to be something at the center of your existence that grounds you, whether it's a purpose, a connection with deity, or a life experience. And the third one is very rare, but tends to happen because a lot of times your objective, your reason for living is connected to a life experience. But for some people, hey, I just need to be able to experience this over and over and over again. And the experience becomes more important. But when you don't have anything that you center your life around, you're not self-aware, you just be doing shit. But there's always going to be something that you center your life around. For old folk, it used to be God, family, and majority of religious texts tell you, hey, deity, family. You, but family. Family then got replaced. Deity then got replaced. So what's in that now is money and influence. Not my family no more. It's how much attention can I garner? I don't give a fuck if my family pays attention. I got strangers online who are telling me that everything I say is pretty cool. Fuck, I need my mom and dad for it. Oof. Man, God ain't out here with me. I ain't never seen him. I can count this money though. This money real. I mean, it sounds blasphemous. It is blasphemous. All of that shit sounds stupid, but I know and you know that's real. And this is really how people thinking. This is really how people talking. And it's how they behaving. And the only way to keep them folk from being the majority is you got to say something. You got to let folk know you're not going to be comfortable doing that bullshit around me. For example, right? And this is the biggest example of this conversation is smoking. You used to be able to smoke anywhere, around anybody. And then one day folk was just like, I had enough. No more. And you started pushing smokers out. Can't smoke around us. Now you can't even smoke in here. You can't smoke out front neither. You got to go all the way outside and then go around the corner, walk a couple blocks, and you can smoke over there. Seen some shit that wasn't good for us, wasn't good for me. I wasn't having that. Shit gonna change. It's just that easy. And you could be regulating at all times. Hey, the dumb shit y'all talking about, you're stupid. It sounds stupid. Here's why it's stupid. Stop being stupid. Boom, you done regulated your space. Influencing. A lot of folk who got that level of intelligence, level of self-awareness, you got to start saying something. Because there's a large group of people who don't have that intelligence, don't have that awareness. They just doing shit. They just being influenced. There's an even larger section who have that intelligence but don't got the information. Humans, we social animals. Monkey see, monkey do. If I see somebody setting boundaries, I'm going to set boundaries. Again, you can go back to dating. All these hoes want somebody that's going to buy them flowers. None of them hoes even like flowers. But they not going to let you hit until you buy them flowers. So guess what niggas is going to do? They didn't set boundaries on your ass. It's that simple. Really that simple. Like, again, this is a platform. It's probably the last safe space in America, right, where you can share your perspective, share your opinion, share your comments. And as long as it's authentic and it's from you, folk gonna respect it. Because there ain't no disrespect here. It's just folk trying to find the truth, trying to find common ground, and being comfortable enough to express ourselves, our real selves. But I like to use myself as an example. Anybody interested in celebrity talk? Yeah, you got to stop talking to me. Because you know how many kids and how many baby mamas Chris Brown got, but you don't know how many cousins you got. You don't know how many you don't know how many kids your daddy got. You don't know how many aunts and uncles you got. Where your grandma from. You don't know your blood type. But you can tell me some stranger whose music you listened to this one time. You can tell me their child's complete name, their date of birth, and what hospital they was born in. You don't know what hospital your mama was born in. You can't be around me. That celebrity talk, you cut. You got to go. If you talking sports and you say some shit that eliminates, man, I don't care what the fuck y'all talking about. This is what I think, so this is what I'm going to say. That's cool. You got to go. Always talking sexual. You got to go. Set boundaries, man. That's just my boundaries, because if it's somebody I'm cool with online, hey, man, what are you talking about? That's stupid. It sounds stupid. I expect better from you. And if I say something stupid, please tell me it's stupid. That way I can go, damn, I sound stupid. And adjust that. But setting boundaries. It's a funny way to word it, right? If you want better for others, you got to want better for yourself. And when you want better for yourself, you inadvertently want better for others. Monkey see, monkey do. Get back to setting boundaries, man. Let folk know when something is inappropriate. Let them know when something is childish. Let them know when they being inconsistent. Let folks know when they being stupid. And let folks know, hey, man, some shit you just need to keep to yourself. Your dumb ass. I'll see y'all tomorrow, man. But set boundaries.
J-Lo did it. J-Lo did it.